Hi everyone, welcome to my semester-long project website. I decided to do my semester-long project on the book Science Learning in the Early Years by Peggy Ashbrook. One thing that I liked a lot about this book is that the activities were geared directly for pre-K to second grade students. I also wanted to explore more resources that I could use in my kindergarten classroom, and I wanted to be able to find activities that kind of enhanced and maintained children's natural curiosity for science. And this book definitely did that. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through go through my web page and kind of talk about the different content and where you can find items. So here at the top of my web page, we have the About Me. There is a link that you can click, and it will take you to my YouTube channel where you can learn a little bit more information about me. And then I have the analysis. So under our analysis, I have some of the challenges and benefits of the book. I also have my NSTA modules and articles, and this is where when I was doing my research and I was planning my lesson in my e-module, I was looking for resources that I could use in my classroom. And so this is just a list. I have the standard listed as well as a brief overview of the article and how you could use it in your classroom. There is several different articles that I found on NSTA that I feel that would be extremely beneficial for teachers to at least look at, even if it's something that you may not use, just to kind of get an idea of what's out there. I also have my connection to culture. So this book, Science Learning in the Early Years, is a book to me that I think that would connect with any type of culture. I like that a lot of the lessons that are in the book give students the opportunity to feel included and to feel successful. And then there's also activities for visual learners, kinesthetic learners, social and interpersonal learners. And then I have my connection to theory. So during class, when I was learning about the different theories, one that really kind of stuck out to me and one that I feel is that most aligns with my personal beliefs and how I am as a teacher was the differentiated instruction. And that's one theory that I feel that I am constantly trying to learn about and trying to implement in my classroom. And one thing I like about this book is that the activities are, for pre-K up to second grade. So say, for example, you have a kindergarten student who could possibly do some of the second grade work, and you could probably find some of the different lessons in the book and differentiate their instruction, kind of give them something, extend on some of the learning. Because most of the activities, for example, if students are learning about the weather, in kindergarten it's pretty basic, but there's activities in here that you could use for second graders that cover the same content. So that's one thing that I liked about this book, is that it does allow you to differentiate your instruction. And then we also have our overview and narrative. And here you will find the chapter sections, the appendices, and kind of just a brief reason why I chose this book. There's a lot of information in this book. So this book has 57 chapters. The first two chapters kind of talk about teaching science and engineering and the early childhood setting. And then there's also tons of activities and how the activities connect to the framework. And there's also a brief overview of the safety in the science classroom. And that's one thing that I liked about this, is that sometimes seems to be an area that we miss, especially in kindergarten. We have little kids who like to put things in their mouth and swallow things. And so I think that it's really important that, that the author, Peggy Ashbrook, decided to put that in her book. She wanted to make sure that our science classrooms are safe and that students are aware of the safety and, and teachers know how to really conduct a safe science classroom. And then here we have our classroom application. And so on this page, this is where I put my e-learning module. And then I also added my 5E lesson plan. And then here's all the resources that you would need to be able to teach this particular lesson in your classroom. So you have the directions on how to navigate the lesson, you have your lesson plan, have a lesson video and directions, a rubric, a weather strip, which is something that we would use for this particular lesson, and then a fun little learning activity. So this is everything that you would be able to, that you would need to be able to teach a weather lesson for a kindergarten classroom. And then we have our STEM careers, and this is something fun. I think that the kids would, enjoy learning about some of the different careers that they could have. They could, be a meteorologist, a plant biologist, a geologist, a wildlife biologist. And so I think it's fun just for students to, once they, start learning some of the different careers that they could have, that this may spark some interest in them and kind of get them a little bit more interested in science and learning science and seeing science in a different way, which is something that I definitely learned throughout this course. And then we have our photo journal, and this was an assignment that I thought was super fun. It kind of made you step back and think, we had to take different pictures, and then we had to look at the pictures and see, like, how are these pictures related to science? And so here you have a Google Slides. If you click here, you can see some of the different pictures that I took and how I related them to science. And then we also have our resource page, which is, here's a link to the Next Generation Science Standards. So you can click here and it'll take you to the standards. And then we also have the GSE standards. You can click there and it will take you to the page. And then I also have a list of some different science activities, some different apps that you could use in your classroom. BrainPop is probably one that most teachers use. But then there's also one that's called a Weather Watch activity. And I like this one because it has, you can integrate it with ELA. It has a story that that the kids can read, and it takes them through the different types of weather. And then here I also attached the NTSA articles again, because on some of these links there are articles, but there's also, inside that article, there's also an activity that you can use in your classroom that connects with the standard that you're teaching. And so I thought that that was a very valuable resource. And sometimes it takes a little digging. You have to kind of go through and see. There's so many resources out there, but I feel that the 4 that I listed here were appropriate for my lesson plan. And then also we have the literature review. And the story that I decided to review was the story called Weather, written by Jill McDonald. And it was an excellent trade book that could be used in the kindergarten classroom. It aligned with the standards. It was interactive. The pictures were colorful. It was fun. And so that's definitely a book that I feel would go really good with the lesson as well. And then the last thing that we have on my webpage is an app review. And the one app review that I decided to do was Freddie the Frogcaster. And this was a really fun app because it allowed kids to kind of interact with the frog. So they could learn about the different types of weather. They could learn about, what Freddie would wear. They could change his clothes to fit the type of weather that he was being exposed to. And so this was a super fun activity and a fun app that students could use during small group. I hope that you enjoyed my webpage, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Thank you.